speak to you in the name of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Amen.
The choice of the Canticle Magnificat to accompany this morning's reading illustrates Mary's anticipation of the challenge after she says yes at the Annunciation. She praises God and she proclaims, He has shown strength with his arm, he has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts, he has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. In our world today, despite financial and economic problems, despite banking and trading scandals, are the proud and the powerful still on their thrones? Are the lowly still waiting to be lifted up? Are the hungry waiting to be filled with good things? Do the rich still find themselves walking away with all they want? Do the promises of this Advent, of every Advent, of the coming kingdom, offer hope in this time of the coronavirus pandemic as we face another post-Christmas lockdown? What are the promises and prospects for a child who is born among us this Christmas? We live in a world where the survival chances of a child depend on the financial and economic situation in which a mother lives. The American blogger and theologian Sarah Dillon Brewer points out that this is a world in which one more child dies every 3 seconds from extreme poverty, where 300 children die during an average Sunday sermon in an Anglican church, and where 1,600 children die during each celebration of the Eucharist. Yet the readings throughout this Advent have been telling us repeatedly that God's promise is that through Christ, the hungry will be filled with good things. We might ask with Mary, how can this be? We too may ponder these things in our hearts. But how does that help us to move from the anticipation of Advent to the promise of the Incarnation? We too are called to bring the good news of liberation to the prisoners, of food for the hungry, of dignity for those regarded as lowly. We too are called to do that, not just in words or song, but like the Virgin Mary, by giving flesh to God's hope, God's peace, God's justice, and God's love for the world. The young unmarried teenage Mary found the courage to face her father, her family, her potential husband, her friends, her village, despite the risk of pointing and whispering, perhaps even stoning to death. As T.S. Eliot writes, there would be a birth, and there would be another death. But I decided this morning to read Christmas, a poem by John Betjeman that brings us through that gap between the end of Advent and the true significance of Christmas Day, expressed too in our celebration of the Eucharist this morning. He writes, "The bells of waiting Advent ring, the tortoise stove is lit again, and lamp oil light across the night has caught the streaks of winter rain in many a stained glass window sheen from Crimson Lake to Hooper's Green. The holly in the windy hedge, and round the manor house the yew, will soon be stripped to deck the ledge, the altar font and arch and pew, so that the villagers can say the church looks nice on Christmas Day. Provincial public houses blaze, corporation tram cars clang, on lighted tenements I gaze, where paper decorations hang, and bunting in the red town hall says Merry Christmas to you all. And London chops on Christmas Eve are strung with silver bells and flowers as hurrying clerks the city leave to pigeon-haunted classic towers, and marbled clouds go scudding by the many-steepled London sky. And girls in slacks remember Dad, and oafish louts remember Mum, and sleepless children's hearts are glad, and Christmas morning bells say come, even to shining ones who dwell safe in the Dorchester Hotel. And is it true, the most tremendous tale of all, seen in a stained glass window's hue, a baby in an ox's stall, the maker of the stars and sea, become a child on earth for me? And is it true? For if it is, no loving fingers tying strings around those tissued fripperies, the sweet and silly Christmas things, bath salts and inexpensive scents, and hideous tie, so kindly meant. No love that in a family dwells, no caroling and frosting air, nor all the steeple shaking bells, can with this single truth compare, that God was man in Palestine